What's good, everybody? It's your man DL Saint. Welcome to Downrange Podcast. Anyone who's out there looking at the thumbnail and checking that out, I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm starting like a whole hour early, but um, I just wanted to start talking about this, and we're going to be talking for a while. So those who might join us late, that's fine. Just catch the stuff we're going to be looking at is we're going to be talking for a little bit. Um, I've been thinking a couple of days. I haven't really talked about the Israeli Hamas war, like what's going on in Gaza. Not a whole lot to talk about at this point. Israel is just staging its soldiers, and Israel is gonna take Gaza. Like there's just no doubt about it. There's some there's some pretty decent news reports out there. I've been following the BBC. I've been following Al Jazeera. Uh, I haven't really been following that much, like American stuff like CNN and all that. But I have been looking at some spots on YouTube. And there's some there's one channel that I want you guys to see. I'm going to share that, and we're going to watch what they are saying. It's two American warriors, like two guys who served in the U.S. military. One I believe is a Navy SEAL. The other is a U.S. Army sniper. Both were in Afghanistan and Iraq at different points. I guess multiple tours. They have a podcast they're doing, and I discovered them their coverage of the Ukrainian war. So these guys are definitely who are, these are definitely some guys you want that I listen to, and they have a really good perspective. Sorry for being distracted here. All right, let me just do this. I'm trying to find the first video you're gonna watch is from the BBC. I just kind of want to throw that up here, guys. And again, thanks for coming over. I'm simulcasting on I Really Want to Know podcast as well as on Downrange. That's why you see all the Downrange stuff up. And for those who are out there who aren't familiar with the platform we started, Downrange Podcast, Downrange Politics, it's pinned in the description. You could just do me a favor if you haven't already. Just go ahead and subscribe. That's where I'll be talking politics. That's where I'll be covering most of this. My thoughts on what's going on with the war, and you look at the thumbnails, like you talk about the escalation. There's already movements within the United States military. They sent a carrier group to the region to support Israel and whatever Israel's about to do. We all know what they're about to do. There's reports out there that the 101st Airborne Division has been deployed to that region, but it's not clear as to why they're there. It seems that they were slated to do some training in the region anyway. So they were already headed that way. They were already slated to head that way, but now this war has started, and it's very advantageous for the Pentagon to have the 101st Airborne Division in the region. It's just like less people that they have to bring over. Generally speaking, when stuff like this happen, elements of the 101st Airborne Division, at least when I was in, this was back in the 90s. I don't know how they're doing it now, and this was the early 90s when I was in. But elements of the 101st Airborne Division were a part of the Defense Ready Brigade, which was all under the 18th Airborne Corps, where you had the 82nd Airborne Division, 101st Airborne Division. You have a bunch of other sub elements like the one I was in, the 18th Airborne, 18th Aviation Brigade, which we fell under that as well. You got MPs, you got engineers, you got whatever you need. Everything is in the airborne world. Everything is airborne. Everything can be loaded up and dropped. So what's going on with the 101st is not a part of that. But I would imagine that, whatever, whoever's on alert, right, is ready to go. All elements, everyone is ready to go and preparing to go, because this thing could escalate pretty quick. Sister Candace is in the building. What's good, Sister Candace? Good to see you. Good morning. Always a pleasure to see you, sis. Man, I'm definitely thinking about your husband and all those who are serving in the United States military right now, because these sort of things, this is it. This is what you signed up for. And again, this escalation can happen fast. So what we're about to watch is a BBC news clip, and they're just talking about, and this was out a couple hours ago, and they're talking about the Israeli military prepares as war cabinet considers ground offensive in Gaza. We know they're going in this news clip, they keep saying things like they haven't made a decision. We think they may. Bro, the Israeli army is going into Gaza. The Israeli army is going to take Gaza. There's no doubt in my military mind that they're going to do it. Right? It's just I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind on planet Earth what Israel's about to do, and rightly so. And Sister Candace, she's like, yes, they have sent the entire George H.W. Bush carrier strike group to that region. Yep, and that's no secret. That's no secret. And yeah, that shows you America's commitment to this conflict. In America, I mean, there's a lot of people saying a lot of stuff over here in America. Like I said, free speech is ugly, man. You know, I believe in free speech wholeheartedly. I believe in free speech. I also believe that you should show your face when you're utilizing your free speech, right? Just like I'm showing my face now. But so a lot of people talking a lot of stuff over here in America. I mean, it is what it is. If you want to draw lines in the sand and you want to take sides, okay, that's fine. I tell you whose side I'm not on. I'm not on the side of those people who were chopping off the heads of babies. I'm not on the side of people who are out there with automatic weapons trying to kill women, unarmed women running around, you know, in high heels because they're at a concert. I'm not on their side. And I don't care what God they pray to or where they live in and what their living conditions are. I don't care. I'm not on their side. So, you know, I'm, 100% Israel over here. And they're gonna do what needs to be done. And they're not gonna fuck about either. They're about to go in here and show you what total war looks like. I have no idea what Hamas was thinking. No idea at all. So let's check out this video. This is BBC talking about what's going on.
Well, you're live with BBC News. Thank you for joining us. Back to our top story today. And the Israeli military has said no decision has been made yet on any ground incursion into Gaza, but that they are preparing for it. Our international editor, Jeremy Bowen, has this update on the troop buildup and a warning. His report contains details and images some viewers may find distressing and upsetting.
The decision to enter Gaza was made the moment they murdered innocent men, women, and children, non-military targets, on Friday or Saturday or whatever day that was they started this attack. That's when the decision was made that Israel was going to enter Gaza, period. End of statement, full stop. Full stop. And in reference to the massacre of babies, when I first heard it, I heard that early on. I thought it was a rumor. I really did. I'm like, oh man, it's just the rumor mill is out of control. It's rumors. Until I saw some articles of some Israeli soldiers who were over there recovering those bodies. It was a massacre over there. And you can see it. These are hardened military men. These are hardened warriors. You can see it in their eyes. I'm gonna see if I can find that video clip and show you guys before this live is over. You can see it in their eyes. And when I saw that, I knew it was like, bro, it's true what they said they were over there doing. Was that all of the guys who were attacking from Hamas? I doubt it. But it only takes a couple. It only takes a couple. You do something like that, there's no excuse. No one on this planet is going to be okay with that kind of behavior. No one. People on this planet understand war, but you ain't going to get away with that. You ain't going to get away with that. And all they did was buy Israel time. You know what I mean? And just me thinking about stuff. Israel has 30 days to do whatever they want to do. And the rest of the planet ain't going to say a word. And anybody who wants to step up and do something, right? You've got these Muslim countries over there who want to step up and do something. If Hezbollah wants to step up and do something, they could try. And guess what? Israel going to deal with them quick, fast, and in a hurry. You guys are going to see what a motivated army is capable of doing. Well-trained, motivated, well-equipped army, Air Force, Navy. You're going to see what they're going to do. I can't believe they did that to those babies. I can't believe it.
In the fields and farms on the border wire, Israel's combat soldiers are creating jumping off points to invade Gaza. At Kibbutz Be'eri, regular units and some of more than 300,000 mobilized reservists were preparing for the order to move in that most Israelis believe will come.
the buildup that we're seeing here is certainly the clearest evidence that I've witnessed that Israel is preparing for a ground operation in Gaza. And if you add this to the formation of a war cabinet, you can see the direction they must be going in.
Israel's allies are gathering. Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, is flying in from Washington. American support includes weapons and moving an aircraft carrier battle group closer to deter Iran's allies in Lebanon from joining the war.
The United States has Israel's back. We have the back of the Israeli people. We have their back today. We'll have it tomorrow. We will have it every day.
In their safe rooms, millions of Israelis are praying, waiting, often frightened now that assumptions they had about their safety have crumbled. Their government says what it's doing in Gaza is defending them. But only a few miles from this family in Ashkelon, Israel's onslaught raises questions about whether it's breaking the laws of war.
You know, people talk about that too, like you're breaking the laws of war. And they're going to get into what Israel has already done within the Gaza Strip with airstrikes and artillery strikes and as such. And yeah, it looks horrific. It does. But it could be worse. It could be much, much, much worse. You just think back to World War II and how we used to conduct air raids, right? We would carpet bomb entire cities. I mean, you know, a lot of Americans don't know their history. A lot of Americans think this stuff is boring. They're ready to watch somebody do the back pop challenge or something like that. They're ready to watch some girl shake her booty instead of understanding history, because the history is going to affect you more than anything you're going to see on TikTok, right? So we used to carpet bomb cities, right? Before the atomic bomb, before the hydrogen bomb. This is how we did business. They would just send a bunch of B-17s, right? They'll just send a bunch of B-24s or whatever, Lancaster bombers, and just drop munitions. And then they got into firebombing, right? Bomber Harris, look him up. That was the guy in charge of all this stuff in the Royal Air Force, RAF. They attacked Dresden, which had no real military significance, right? German city had no real military significance at that time in the war. They dropped incendiary bombs on Dresden, firebombed the whole thing. It was one of the most horrific things that come out of World War II in the European theater. One of, I mean, of course, the Holocaust was absolutely the worst. It was to this day, but Israel ain't doing that. Israel's not just arbitrarily blowing up buildings. No, they are striking targets. They can see where these rockets are coming from. They know where these people, the Hamas soldiers are, if you want to call them soldiers, the terrorists. They know where they are, and they're just knocking the buildings down. I would do the same. Brother Jackson in the building. Good morning, brother. Good to see you, Knight. You're like, thanks for the update, Unc. I broke my phone, came back, and Israel was at war again. Yeah, bro, that's crazy. This happened over the weekend, man. This jumped off like late Friday, early Saturday, something like that. But let's continue.
In Gaza, Israel has caused immense damage in only 5 days. International humanitarian law obliges belligerents to protect civilian lives. Israel says all this is legitimate self-defense against Hamas. But it's also cut off supplies of water, food, fuel, and power to more than 2 million people and killed hundreds of civilians.
I've lost my father, my brother, my uncle, 2 cousins, 2 other family members, and my pregnant wife. I'm the only survivor.
Back in Israel,
That dude right there, he lost his whole family. He should be mad at Hamas. Hamas was the elected government. The Palestinians elected Hamas to office. They asked for these dudes to be in charge, these guys, these people, these whatever they are, to be in charge. And I ain't gonna sit here and be like, oh, we're victims. You don't do what you did. The stuff that's going on over there. Nah, man. Do I feel bad for the civilian Palestinians? Yeah, I feel bad, right? And if they want to do something about all this, y'all need to link up with the Israelis and tell them where all the bad guys are. Y'all need to link up with the Israelis and tell them where the munitions are. Where are the rockets? Right? Where are the caches of AKs? Where are all the bullets? Where are all the bombs? Tell the Israelis where they are if you want this to stop. This ain't going to stop until Israel gets every last member of Hamas. And I believe they're going to do it. And what you guys are about to watch is some, it's not gory, but it's scary. I just want to give you guys another heads up. What you're about to watch is scary. So, you know.
Videos are still emerging from the Hamas attack last Saturday. Security cameras showed 2 women trying to escape a Hamas gunman. Somehow he misses them. Armed Israelis arrive, and the man who wanted to murder them either retreats or is killed.
That guy came out and was trying to kill 2 unarmed women who were at a concert. And that guy was standing just a few feet away from those women. Those were easy shots, right? And I've been sitting here thinking about it, like, how did he miss them? I believe it's poor training. This guy probably had a safety on his weapon, didn't realize that. He was trying to fire and he couldn't. He secured that, took care of the safety and started firing. By that time, they found a little bit of cover. And those women were just, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't take off their shoes. I mean, it just lets you know, like, yo, it's a lot of Israelis who didn't understand the horror of where they're living and the people that are around them. These young Israelis were out there having a good old time. These 2 young women did not move like they had any training whatsoever. It was sheer luck that they survived that incident. And then armed Israelis came moments later to save them. 2 men and a woman, armed, putting their life on the line to save as many people as they could. Those 3 people were outnumbered. They knew they were going into a situation where they were outnumbered. They were going into an unknown situation. It's not like they went in there with a whole company. It was just the 3 of them. That kind of bravery. 2 men and a woman. Israel knows now. These young Israelis know now. So all this wokeism, all this other kind of stuff, man, all this traditional and men role and women's roles and all that. Nah, bro, that's all out the window, man, when people show up with guns and they trying to kill you.
And at a hospital near Tel Aviv, signs of the tension in Israel. A visiting government minister gets a furious reception. A nurse yells they've been helped by every kind of civilian, but the government has given them nothing. The military buildup might steady Israeli nerves. And the defense minister said, "We will wipe Hamas off the face of the earth." Jeremy Bowen, BBC News in southern Israel.
The Israelis, the Jews in the Middle East are fighting for their life. They know it. They've been fighting for their survival for over 50 years. They know it. They've been fighting since they were liberated from the concentration camps in World War II. I hope you guys understand that. You got to understand your history. There are evil people on this planet that mean you harm. And you got Americans out here saying what they're saying are cool. Hey, man, like I said, free speech is ugly. Free speech is ugly. But I want to see your face when you say some of this stupid shit. For all you people who are pro-Palestine, let's go free the Palestinians. Let's go free Gaza. Get your ass on a plane and fly over there. You ain't getting into Gaza. Israel got that on lock, but you can fly into the West Bank. Go in and fly into Lebanon. If you feel that way about it, you feel that strongly, go over there. Nice knowing you. We won't ever see you again. Starts in Gaza, and it's going to be the West Bank. Israel is not going to stop until they are safe. I can't believe people are so evil. And on the other hand, people are so stupid in America. But again, Americans are victims of our own success. As bad as it is over here, I mean, it's still fairly safe for the most part. I mean, there's parts of America that's extremely safe. There's parts of America where people don't even lock their doors at night. Go to bed, ain't worry about nothing. America is extremely safe. Not where I grew up. Not the world that I came up in. But I've seen that world since. America has no idea what it's like out there. And even when you go through World War II, the average American had no idea what the Nazis were up to and how vicious they were. The average American had no idea what it was like to face the Japanese soldiers on those islands out there in the middle of the Pacific, Guadalcanal and Peleliu, the Marshall Islands, Guam, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. They had no idea what it's like to deal with people who would just jump up and come screaming at you with just a knife. You know, if they capture you, they may just do all sorts of horrific things to you. The average American had no idea what the United States soldiers and Marines and airmen were dealing with over there. And when those men came home, they were there to just, they knew what it was. They were warriors that came back to, hey, man, we know what we got to do to keep it safe. We know how unsafe this place is, but that's fine. They put it on the line for our Constitution. They truly believed in freedom. And they came back home and had to talk to these people who didn't serve. And back then, if you didn't have a uniform, if you didn't serve, boy, you were less than. You were less than. Be nice to get a little bit of that back. I think I was looking it up just the other day. It's like 0.004% of Americans actually serve in the military to some extent today. And if you historically, I think it's historically it's what, 7%. 7% historically of Americans. This podcast here we're about to check out, Speak the Truth. These two brothers were the ones I was talking about earlier, both military guys. One's a Navy SEAL. The guy on the left, I believe, is Navy SEAL or some special ops. The guy on the right is former Army sniper. Both served in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq. Both got combat time, real time, trigger pullers, these guys. And again, I stumbled across their podcast during the Ukraine war. The podcast was already up and running. They were just basically, you know, this was a quasi-political, and it still is, political podcast. And they were just talking about stuff like BLM, Antifa. I don't think that they are Trumpers, but they are certainly Republicans, conservative, but not Trumpers. These dudes make sense. And their coverage of the Ukraine-Russia war, I thought, was really good. I would, watch them. And, the guy on the left, the guy that's the SF guy, disappeared for a while during the Ukraine war. And I'm like, yeah, that guy's SF. He's probably in Ukraine training Ukrainians. The guy on the right kept the podcast going. And you're going to see the guy on the right smiling and stuff like that. He's not making light of the situation. I really think I think he's just trying to cope with the reality of what's going on. I think he realizes, like, man, we could be facing a global thing here. Like, he's probably realized, like, I might have to go overseas again and put my boots on the ground to save America or deal with some stuff here. And I think that's his way of coping with it, like the smiles and the giggles and the laugh. He's just trying to cope, man. There's a lot of people to deal with. People deal with that kind of stress in different ways. Me, I kind of get quiet. I might joke a little bit. I kind of get quiet, but after a while, it comes out. The frustration comes out. So don't be too hard on the brother. You know what I mean? Like I said, these are two trigger pullers. These guys aren't just dudes who served. These guys were downrange for real. And the guy on the left was way downrange. He was way beyond the lines of the friendly soldiers of our troops. He was behind enemy lines doing this thing. And the sniper was out there on his own doing what snipers do. It is what it is. Sister Candace, I would venture to say that there are a formidable contributing factor to serving in the military. Family. I agree with you, sis. My in-laws both served in the Army. Yeah, that's what's up. Appreciate that. And it's hard on the soldiers. It's also it's harder, in my opinion, on the family members. It's really hard on the family members of servicemen and women around the world. It's hard, man. You don't know what's going on. Like, even in today's instant information age, you sit back in dread. I remember when we rotated back to the world, I was supposed to stay in country. I was supposed to stay in Saudi Arabia an extra year, like another 9 months. I was going to be a part of what they call a push-pull team, because I was one of the last people to get to the unit when it's time to go home, I was the guy that they were like, okay, you're staying because you really just got here. And everyone else had been there for over a year and almost, over a year. So they were like, you're going to stay and be part of the push-pull team. And our job will be to just load up all of the heavy equipment, make sure everything is squared away, do all the paperwork, put all that stuff on a boat, on a ship. And, cool. I didn't trip. I'm like, all right, it makes sense to me. I'm the FNG. I'm the new guy. No problem. But as it turns out, I didn't have to stay because one of the senior guys wanted the extra time there so he can get, it was something he wanted for the record, right? So if he stayed another 6 months or something like that, or 3 months, he would get something that would help him and help his career. This was a career soldier. And so I was like, fine. In fact, our unit was there just under a year. He wanted to be over a year. I think it was a year and a half or something like that. It was something like that. He wanted to stay. So because he wanted to stay, I got to go home. And it was like a handful of us. They kind of just found us a transport, put us on a C-17. We flew into Spain. And then from Spain, we flew into South Carolina. We flew into Bragg. They flew us right into Bragg. So we actually got home hours after our unit got there. And so I got home and my unit was like, well, we weren't expecting you here. So, check in with us in a week, do you. So I went home. And when I got home, I kind of surprised my family. Hey, I'm home. And everybody was like, oh, good to see you. Was happy to see me. My father told me he got a phone call. He got a phone call like 3 days before I got there. And he said he picked up the phone and they were like, hey, are you so-and-so? And he's like, yes. And it was like, is your son currently serving, in the Middle East? And he said his heart dropped. He's like, his heart just sank. And he sat there and he took a moment. He said, yes. We just wanted to let you know that he's on his way home. He should be landing in Fort Bragg in, 3 days or whatever. He said, okay, thank you. Hung up the phone. He said he was like, as scared as he ever been in his life. He thought they were telling him something happened to me. So like and that was back in the 90s. That was 91. So nowadays it's text messaging, FaceTiming and all that. It's just instant information. And sometimes you can't get any information. I'm pretty sure that's scary for the families of those soldiers, those sailors, those airmen or Marines out there. It's got to be scary for them. Like you sitting there like, I can't get a hold of anybody. We go from communicating all the time to I can't get a hold of anybody and no one has any information. That has to be scary because you're going to think the worst. So I think it's really hard to be a parent of a service member. Just really, really difficult. So let's get to what these guys were talking about. This is about a 20-minute video. They cover some really good stuff. These are the kind of men that I would listen to. If you guys are out here trying to piece this together, you want to know what's going on in the Middle East, listen to these guys when they talk. Again, I don't agree with 100% of what anyone says, but these dudes right here, they're not trying to push a narrative. They're not out here, trying to make some sort of political statement. They're just trying to get you the best information they can through the sources that they have. And they got some pretty good sources. If the guy on the left is really, if he's part of that special warfare community, if he's a SEAL, he's getting some real good intel. And so is his buddy. So, this is where I go. I go to speak the truth and I listen to these dudes. Like I say, I don't agree with everything they say. And I'm pretty sure they're not Trumpers, but they're definitely conservative. I would consider them traditional Republicans. And, like I said, salute to these brothers right here. But let's get into it.
All right, how are you guys doing? Welcome over to the channel. We don't have a sponsor for today, so let's just roll into it. We got a bit happening. I know that Biden's actually thrown he's thrown his sack up on the table and said he's actually doing something halfway decent with his life today. The brutality of Hamas, the bloodthirstiness brings to mind the worst rampages of ISIS. This is terrorism. He actually put that out for the world.
That's nice. Biden actually admits to terrorism. That's good. I mean, I would hope the United States president could actually do that.
Which is kind of funny because you know who also took the side of Hamas yesterday? This is kind of ironic.
Turkey?
Oh, no, BLM.
Oh, BLM. Oh, great. BLM
Which is
took the side of Hamas. That's good.
But it is actually kind of funny because then a lot of Americans have actually a lot of backlash they got for that. So it is kind of funny because you have the president of the United States who was for BLM last 2 years, and then they come out there for them, and he's against what they're for.
There's a lot
The
of
irony.
bro. There is so many people in America that are taking the side of Hamas and Palestine, and I don't think these people realize that if their lifestyle, if they attempted to live that lifestyle inside of Palestine, it would not work out good for them. As a matter of fact, in a lot of these countries, it would not work out good, but specifically in the Gaza Strip, it most definitely would not work out good for them.
So you're
at
talking
all.
about like maybe Mia Khalifa?
Yeah, Mia Khalifa, for example. You know what I mean? Like that would not work out good for her. The LGBTQ community that's backing them.
Yeah.
It's not all of them by any. It's not even the vast majority of like the alphabet community that's doing it, but there is a good chunk of them that are. And it's like y'all would have your heads cut off.
That's
You'd be done.
It's factual. You know, so we know the Hezbollah thing.
He's 100% correct. They do business over there a little bit different, man. If you part of that alternative lifestyle and you want to let people like Hamas, you want to let people like Hezbollah, you want people like the Taliban, you want these type folks to just be able to do what they want to do and let these folks take over the world. And you part of that alternative lifestyle, you through. You through. You know what they do with gay men over in the Middle East, man? They do some horrific things, bro. I've seen them strap explosives. Not seen them, but I've read stories where they strap explosives to you and blow you up, throw you off of a building because you got a crush on, some boy or whatever, right? If you're a woman and you're out there being promiscuous, even if you're not, if someone says you are, right, they'll stone you. They'll put you in a circle of a bunch of people, pick up big old bricks, man. They'll throw bricks and hit you until you are no longer living. They'll stone you. These people are calling for stuff they have no idea. So what I'm talking about, Americans are so stupid. Like, y'all don't know what you were asking for. And they just don't get it. They just don't get it. So he made a really good point there, an excellent point. You running around here like freedom is an ugly thing. Freedom of speech. I believe in freedom of speech. Just show your face.
I think that's either gonna spill over pretty quick or it's gonna fizzle out, and they may realize that they don't want to mess around and get their teeth kicked in by the actual Israeli military that's all amped up on literally
Hezbollah?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, they started yesterday. So yesterday, Hezbollah actually fired an anti-tank missile into Israel, and it wasn't confirmed whether or not it destroyed anything, but they most definitely 1,000% answered back and started firing. I want to say it was were they dropping bombs or was it an Apache that was shooting?
I have no idea.
I forget. Either way, they answered back.
Oh, an Apache. It was Apaches.
It was Apaches.
It was Apaches, yes.
Yeah, so they answered back with Apaches and not only like schwacked that dude, but also took down like a big chunk of the area that he was hiding in.
So they were
talking about Black Lives Matter, man, as if, man, look, BLM, them people, they got their money. Y'all all know what happened with that, man. So it's just, again, that's the conservative right there. Like, Black Lives Matter. Like, man, whatever. Those dudes, I'm not worried about Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? Black lives do matter. Of course they matter. You know what I mean? But the people in charge of that organization, man, it went the way it went. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But you look at what's going on now. The Israeli army does not operate like the American army. It two completely different things, two completely different dimensions. It doesn't work like that. So when you look at this sort of thing, right? Some guy with an anti-tank weapon fired, probably at a tank or whatever. Hell, he might have hit the tank. Who knows? He fired on the Israelis. The Israelis answer with Hellfire missiles from an Apache. Right? They took care of dude, and they took care of the entire, like, you can't hide from that. Like, this is the grid, man. We're going to take out the whole grid. You can't do that in the U.S. Army. The rules of engagement are different. You'll have to just sit there and take fire. You can't just do that. The U.S. Army makes it real hard to fight. You can't fire, like, what? He's in Lebanon. You can't fire over there. We can't do it like in Vietnam. What? They went to Cambodia. You can't go into Cambodia. We're fighting in Vietnam. Well, they're staging in Cambodia and they come across the border and they're attacking us. Like, oh no, we don't know what we're gonna do about that. Israelis don't care where you are. You do something to them, they're gonna come do something to you. Period. They don't care. They're coming to see you. The rules of engagement, way different. You mess with Israel, you're gonna find yourself in a situation where it's free fire. They're just gonna go and shoot whoever they think they need to shoot. This is going to be very, very bad for Hamas and Hezbollah. because it's a wrap. They coming to see him.
The thing is Hezbollah came out and said the United States is now a partner of the Israeli aggression, and we hold it responsible for killing, crime, and siege. So that
Yeah.
makes you feel any better.
Well, Hezbollah is still standing by that once Israel invades Gaza, that they will attack and open up a second front.
And so if they open up the second front, then what did Americans say they were going to do?
Tell me.
No, you remember yesterday we talked about this?
Oh, I think Americans are going to, yeah, I think
No,
Americans,
Americans
gonna,
actually do something. If the second front is open, America's going to step in and help Israel.
I believe so, yes.
That's what I'm saying. So if Hezbollah says that's what it's all just kind of boiling down to Russia, China, Iran, and all these guys, or not Taiwan, excuse me, are all going to be going against us. And it's pretty much just multi-front issue we're going to have to deal with.
And it's possible. And you see the part where I was saying, like, you seem smiling. It's not like he's giddy. The guy on the right is not giddy. I'm sorry, I don't know their names. I watch their content, but I don't watch a lot of their content, like all the time. They got some great videos. So I forget their names. Forgive me, brothers, if y'all are watching. Sorry. But he's not like giddy, like, yeah, we're about to go to war. I think it's a nervous tick. He's married, he's home, he's in his life doing good. His YouTube channel blew up. They got sponsors and stuff. Money's coming in. And then his buddy across the table is also married. They're warriors. This guy realizes, like, man, he's got that smile. It's like, if Hezbollah gets involved, that's going to open up another front. That means that puts the West Bank in play. Right? Israel is going to definitely deal with that threat. They're going to go and take care of business while they're taking care of Gaza. And the U.S. has already said that we're going to protect Israel 6. What does that mean? If they need our help to deal with the Lebanese or the Egyptians or the Iranians, we're here for them. We're in this. So that's why I entitled that thumbnail, The Escalation. It's possible that this thing could begin to escalate and escalate fast. It's possible. North Korea might do something stupid. China might do something stupid. It's possible. I ain't worried about Russia. Ukraine got Russia. I ain't worried about that. My only concern with Ukraine was these dumb Trumpers, right? These stupid people over here who don't understand what's going on with Russia and Ukraine wanted to stop the flow of money, wanted to stop the flow of arms and munitions so the Ukrainians can stop the Russians. That was my only concern with. Now it's a wrap because we're going to support Israel. Any money that goes out to Israel, money is going to also go out to Ukraine. But I'm not worried about the Russians. Iran might try something, or better yet, I think a better way to put that is Israel might come see Iran. And if that's the case, America's going to be involved just protecting, Israel 6. We're going to be really involved heavily in the Middle East, dealing with what we're going to have to deal with. So, yeah, this could escalate.
So ridiculous. But to add,
and it is all stemming from religion right now. This whole area.
So yesterday, blow this up on the screen for these people. Would you mind?
Yeah.
So yesterday, the Turkish deputy minister, he tweets at Netanyahu. So Netanyahu had made a tweet, and this guy answers back, and he says, Turkey's deputy minister of education, you will die. In response to Netanyahu. So all the talk that we've had on Turkey, where people are like, it's not that. No, Turkey hates them. Turkey has, this is a prime example, constantly on the wrong side of history, constantly backing terrorist organizations, doing backhanded crap. Why they're a member of NATO, I have no idea. And as a matter of fact, what we should probably do for the next podcast is see what it takes to get somebody kicked out of NATO. You know what I mean? Like, what is the process to get rid of them? Because they haven't exactly been the best NATO partner. At one point in time, they were the largest supplier of NATO troops inside of Afghanistan. Did you know that?
No,
Turkey was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, at one point in time. Now that was towards the end of the war, but still, I think the time for Turkey being in NATO needs to be over.
So this is kind of,
the thing about Turkey, history behind those, like the Turks have been fierce fighters, for a very, very long time in the world history. I mean, to go back to World War I, like the Turks were brutal when it came to combat and dealing with Britain. You look at the Turks, wherever they go, they are feared. Korea, Vietnam, right? Afghanistan. The Turks don't play. Now, I don't really understand Turkish politics, but I can read what the Turkish deputy minister sent to Netanyahu, I mean, it is what it is. And like I say, I defer to these guys. They're on the ground doing what they do, especially these SF, these special forces dudes, right? These guys are part of that community, these SEALs and whatnot. You know what I mean? They know stuff. And he's probably worked with some people. I trained with a Turkish soldier once here in the States. And the guy smoked cigarettes, chain smoke constantly smoking cigarettes. But boy, he could run. He could walk forever. He could run forever. He could shoot straight. He was a hardcore guy. I mean, he just didn't complain that one bit. We were out doing some hardcore stuff. He did not. None of it bothered him. And we're out in the woods of North Carolina, all kind of critters roaming around. He didn't care. That guy was hardcore. He was training with Green Berets, so the guy was probably Turkish Special Forces. Hardcore dude. Sister Candace is like, no money is going down until we have a Speaker of the House. A few are holding that position hostage. Thoughts on the current state of our government? Man, we are paralyzed right now. We are paralyzed by stupidity. You know what I mean? Matt Gaetz did what he did. We don't have a Speaker of the House. We can't do anything. And again, there's real politicians, there are real people who care about this country and they understand our position in the world and how important this moment is. We don't have a Speaker of the House. They're trying to do something. Apparently, they're working on something. They're trying to have someone in place, someone they can vote on to get them into the Speaker's slot as soon as this week. Right? They're working on it. I got another day, and maybe they'll work through the weekend or something. They know we need to have a Speaker of the House. It's just it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. What just I don't. The current state of our government is just like we're paralyzed. It doesn't make any sense. Right? We got these radical politicians who are just doing what they do because they want to get money for them. That's what it boils down to. They don't care about the country. It's not about a sacrifice, right? I keep harping on this. Most Americans, 93% of Americans have never served in the military historically. A lot of them are elected officials. They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea how important stuff is. They have no idea how things can escalate. And they don't care because they're out there trying to get their money. Like I say, man, don't hate players, hate the game. But when it comes to this, like, you must put the country first. And when you don't put the country first, to me, you become a problem. You become a problem. Why did Gaetz do what he did? Somebody told him to. He came out and said it. That guy told me to do it, so I did it. And the guy I'm talking about really doesn't care about this country. He's just out for self. It is what it is. But this is where we are. This is where we are. I hope that Americans realize what's going on. We're coming up on a major election cycle. You know what I mean? I hope that people go out and vote for Americans who care about this country, but it's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. So I think we're in a bad state right now, sis. A really bad state. I'm sure at some point we'll recover. But again, if this thing escalates, what are we going to do? Like, we need people to step up. We need people to step up, man. Not to beat up on the Republicans, but we need leadership on the Republican side. The Democrats are in lockstep. They got leadership over there. I ain't got to agree with their politics, but at least they got leadership over there. They don't have their friends running the party. Like, why is Matt Gaetz doing all this stuff, right? What is going on? You know what I mean? This is sad. And this is going to cause a lot of Americans to have to make the ultimate sacrifice because of delays in our political apparatus. I don't know how this is going to work. You know what I mean? I guess it's going to have to work through the executive. The president's already given his consent as commander in chief to deploy these people, but we're going to need money to sustain it. We'll see how it plays out, sis. But we're in a bad situation right now.
Kind of interesting. So I know that we both have the same thing, and I'm sure you've already pulled it up. But yesterday, we're going to have to backtrack here. So yesterday, the founding member of Hamas actually gave a speech. Did you know this? And today he was killed. Not only he was killed, but I believe his 2 sons were also killed.
Yeah.
Okay, so him and his sons were both killed. Okay, just so you know, the Gaza power plant also ran out of fuel, just so everybody's aware. Heavy rocket barrages actually target the center of Israel and Tel Aviv under attack right now as we're currently making this. And I'm only saying this because there's a gentleman that actually brought it up. His name is Joey Manariano, that the leader of Hamas just called for a global day of jihad on Friday.
Right. He
Did you
didn't
see
call
this?
it jihad. I read it.
He
He didn't
didn't.
call it jihad. He
I-
called it something else.
I
But
have a thing.
basically-
I'm gonna pull up and actually I'm gonna read what he said here in a second, just so you know. But it is somewhat ironic. He calls for this global whole ordeal, and then he ends up getting schwacked by
the next day.
the next day, him and his sons. So, so this is actually what he said. Khalid Mashoul, the leader of the founding member of Hamas, has gave a speech to all the Muslims of the world to do the following: to show anger, especially next Friday in Muslim countries and also among Muslim dysphoria around the world. He called it the Friday of Al-Aqsa flood. Actually, I don't know how you would do AQSA, but that's what he said. He said that this will send a message of rage to Zionists and to America. He asked for financial help from all Muslims around the world to help with their money. He called it financial jihad. He asked Muslims to give the fighters of Gaza in order to compensate for them the destruction. He asked political pressure from Muslim leaders and Muslim nations to stop Israel's military invasion of Gaza. And the last one, the most important thing, he asked for all Muslims around the world to carry jihad by their souls, to fight, to be martyrs for Al-Aqwas. Always a word I can't say. He wants Muslims to fight against the Jews, starting the Muslims who live in countries surrounding Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt, but also other countries to go to the borders and try to enter by his own means. He said that this time for jihad to be applied on the ground rather than just in theory. He asked for mujahideen to go in long caravans to spill their blood on the land of Palestine. And those were actually his final words, clearly.
What a big surprise.
Yeah.
So and this is the thing that I talk about it on my TikTok over the last couple of days. People in America need to be very cautious right now. And it's not about sleeper cells being here in the United States of America. I really don't see a lot of people creeping across the border and getting away with jihad. But what it is homegrown violent extremists. People that have been radicalized over the internet are more than likely the ones that if something does go down here in the States or in the EU, it's going to be homegrown violent extremists, lone wolf attacks. They're the hardest to spot, the hardest to see coming. And when you look at the amount of protests that we have that are going on around the world with the amount of support for Palestine, we even played the video yesterday when they're saying kill the Jews, right? Gas the Jews. All those people, they have that rage. And when they're in those little protests, it's just fueling the rage even more and even more. And then when you have stuff like this happen, where the leader of Hamas comes out and calls for jihad, and then he's killed the next day, it's going to do nothing but inflame it even more.
Well, it's fine.
He's right about that. He's absolutely right about that. And when he was talking about that video when they were saying kill the Jews, that was in Australia. That was in Australia, right? You got this stuff going on all over the world. He's talking about these lone wolf people. Yes, they're on Patrick Bet-David today was talking to some Trumper, and like Vinny was talking to him, and they were talking about how many people have been caught on the southern border trying to get into America. It was coming out of the Middle East, and it was like had a map with different countries and this and that. And they caught, I don't know how many, it was hundreds that they caught. And it's like there's many more that they didn't catch, of course, right? But here's the thing. People are worried about this jihad thing. Well, you're just gonna wake up tomorrow on Friday, and you're gonna have all these sleeper cell units that were sent over here. That's not gonna happen. I agree with the brother 100%. That's not gonna happen. It's not going to happen. You can't live in America for more than a year and not have America have an effect on you. I don't care how devout you are, Christian or Muslim or whatever. These young men coming over here, man, they're going to go into a strip club, right? And they're going to have, Mercedes do her thing. And that guy's going to be, next thing you know, he's going to be at home with his feet kicked up. You know what I mean? Eating a bacon sandwich. He ain't praying no more. Like, bro, you think that guy's going to give all that up so he can go strap himself up with some sort of explosive device? Nah, he ain't going to do that. And another thing, these dudes over here, they realize how dangerous America is. You get these guys coming over here. I say it all the time, man. These guys, these jihadists over here in the Middle East or wherever they are in the world, they think they tough guys. Man, bring them over here, drop them off in the middle of South Side Chicago, South Central LA. Drop them off in, like I said, in Cincinnati. Drop them off in Avondale, Bonnie Hill somewhere. Drop them off in the Faye. Give them a store. Give them a corner store. See how long they last. These people get over here like, bro, Y'all don't understand how crazy these Americans are. So now I ain't worried about, I'm not worried about sleeper cells, but I am worried about that lone wolf. I am worried about those guys, those people who are like homegrown and they're radicalized themselves because the AI programs are just inundating them with this negative stuff. They're just reinforcing it, just negative, negative, negative. And these guys are getting caught up in this world. They lose touch with reality. Yeah, they'll go out and do something. We see it all the time. We get active shooters over here all the time, going to malls, going into schools, going into churches. Some dude got caught trying to go into a church in the, I think it was the Maryland area, Virginia area, just a few weeks ago. They caught him because some woman was like, hey, she saw something, she said something, she called the police caught the guy trying to get into the church. He was like coming in the front doors when they caught him. He had a couple weapons on him. He had a couple knives on him. He was going in there to do some damage. Lone wolf. Lone wolf. Those Americans, they're not coming from anywhere else, just homegrown Americans. Mad because they're not doing anything with their lives. Mad because they don't have any friends. Mad because they don't have any women that see them. You know, mad because they're broke. They're looking at Instagram, they're looking at TikTok, and they don't live that life, not realizing that the person who's posting that stuff on social media is not living that life either. You know what I mean? So, yeah, these lone wolf people go out here because that loop, get that doom loop of stuff. The algorithm just keeps shoving down your throat. I have different YouTubes. I have one where I do this manosphere red pill stuff, and that feeds me a whole bunch of stuff. Then I got another one where I look at just mainstream media stuff, and it feeds me all that stuff. So I kind of use the algorithm to help me get all this information from all these different bubbles. Well, you know, I had to think that through. Most people ain't thinking it through. They're tired of being nobodies. They think that I'm going to go out here and show these people or whatever. America's always had that problem. So I'm not worried at all about sleeper cells and all this kind of stuff. Jihad tomorrow. Who cares? Hey, I could be wrong. Maybe they're going to jump up tomorrow and try to do something. They're going to try to do something like Hamas did over in Israel and Gaza. They can try it in America. It ain't going to work that well. There are more guns in this country than people. You know what I mean? You get to try that one time. Trust me, especially someplace like Florida, Georgia, Ohio, the Carolinas, Texas. You can even try that in the big cities. Man, go ahead and try that in the hood. Try to run up in somebody's whatever in the hood and watch what happens to you. People might not be showing you their weapons, but they got them and they're not registered. They're burner guns all over America. And the innocent people, they ain't afraid to use it. They own the block 24/7. They out there checking stuff out like, what's up? Who is dude? They gonna step to you in New York, in Chicago, in Cincinnati, in Memphis, in Atlanta. They gonna step to you in LA, San Diego. They gonna step to you. The flyover country different. You know what I mean? I know in Kansas City, they gonna step to you. Minneapolis, they gonna step to St. Paul, and in the cities, they gonna step to you, but out in the burbs, I don't know how that works. I don't know, but yeah, I'm definitely not worried about sleeper cells. That's just something. That's something silly that people say because they don't understand how it works. You got the Navy SEAL guy sitting there telling you like, yeah, man, I ain't worried about I'm not worried about jihad in America. You serious? I ain't worried about that, but I am worried about these crazy individuals, right? Like Dr. Scott Galloway says, the most dangerous individual is that lonely, sexless, broke dude living in his mom's basement. That's the guy you need to be worried about. Sitting around playing video games and watching his YouTube feed him all this stuff. And like I said, all these people's talking all this big stuff about Palestine. You're talking all this big stuff about what's going on over there, these radical folks. All right, go on over there with your rainbow flag and see what happens to you.
Final words of the entire thing is funds are important, but today we are asking for your blood and souls to be sacrificed for Palestine. So,
jeez.
There you go. And I feel like we've been talking about this. And if you also didn't know this, the U.S. Army is going to be deploying the 101st Airborne Division to Jordan in order to take part in Israel's war on terrorism, which I don't entirely know.
So I saw that tweet that you sent, and I looked up a better article on it to find out what's actually going on.
True. I think it's probably some training exercise, or maybe they're just staging.
Yeah. So we already have United States forces in Jordan on training exercises, and yep, the Screaming Eagles that's the 101st Airborne are in fact heading to Jordan, but it's not to take place in the war. It's essentially just staging troops for destabilization. Same stuff we do in all around the world all the time.
I'm not really. I saw this and I said, yeah, that's. Okay.
Now, that could be the statement that we're making, is that's what they're there for. I highly doubt we're going to put, like I said, I highly doubt we're going to put the 101st on ground fighting Hezbollah. I think Israel's got, what, 500,000 troops now? We've got that video.
Actually, they're up a little bit more than that, I think.
They currently have 300,000 down near the border.
300. Yeah. Well, they have
In
another
Gaza.
60,000 were called up yesterday.
And for comparison, how
It's a
many
little 500? Yeah. I think it was
how many
500.
troops did Russia throw into Ukraine on the initial invasion?
I sincerely don't even remember.
Like 150,
I
200,000?
I sincerely don't even recall. It was a lot.
I think it's somewhere around there. And that was for an entire country. We're talking about a tiny little portion of Israel, the Gaza Strip, what they're looking at taking over. They could damn near do hands across Gaza and walk through that thing and kill it with 300,000 troops.
Yeah. Yeah, they could.
Yeah, and as of I think it was yesterday, it was they had 300,000 soldiers initially that they called up, and there was another 40 or maybe 60,000 that they had called up. So I think they're up to, like, let's say they're up to 360, and then they've mobilized their reserves. So when it's all said and done, they're gonna have close to 500,000 troops going into Gaza, 500,000 soldiers going into Gaza, right? Even if it's 400,000, you have 400,000 soldiers going into Gaza, into the Gaza Strip, and they're gonna purge it. And you got to think about it, it's only 2.5 million people in the Gaza Strip, right? So you're sending 400,000 well-trained, well-armed, soldiers with comms, with the ability to coordinate whatever they need to coordinate. Satellites, yeah, man, they're gonna take care of business. They are going to take care of business, and I really like. I can't stress to you two guys watching this enough. Speak the Truth is an outstanding platform. These brothers, they're doing their best. They're telling it like it is. They're keeping it 100. Right, what we're dealing with. And they're gonna get into why this is so bad. They're gonna get into why Israel needs to do what it's gonna do. And here's another thing too. Israel's definitely going to take Gaza. They're never coming out of there. And Israel's definitely going into the West Bank. I doubt if they do it at the same time, but they can. They have the capability to do so. And then the 101st Airborne Division going to Jordan. The 101st really isn't, I don't think you would send the 101st Airborne Division to deal with something like this. I mean, they can. But for something like what's going on now, with what's going on in Gaza, you would want to send like the 75th Ranger Regiment. You'll want to send those type dudes. You'll want to send the very, very specialized individuals who know how to get down. You're not going to send, you don't want to send the 82nd and 101st. The 82nd and 101st will be there to kind of cover the Rangers. Right? You want to send like, even the Marines. Like, the 1st Marine Division. This is what they're known for. Marines go in there and take care of business, and you will have, like I said, the 82nd and 101st. And even with the Marines, like, they will play the same role as the Army guys, as the 82nd, as the 101st. You know what I mean? They would play the same role, kind of sit back and support. The MARSOC Marines will be in there doing what they do, right? It would be the MARSOC guys doing what they do, right? So at least that's my take on it. Let's continue.
Good. And I did see this morning that they did actually say it again, that they are prepped and ready. I would say within the next, it could be hours or days, that Gaza is going to get pushed through. And
they're going to push into it. And this is one of them things where they're going to completely take out Hamas. That is their goal, to make sure that Israel's goal is to make sure that Hamas is not capable of launching another attack again against Israeli people. So they're going to go in there, and they are not going to leave until they feel very confident that's done. And that means building by building, house by house, block by block, street by street. They're going to be going through Gaza. And it's going to be a very drawn out process.
This is not going to be quick.
Here's the other problem. Once they actually end up doing that, because you can kill people, but you can't kill an idea. The only way to kill an idea is to kill all the people that carry it. But even then, the idea is out there in the world. So Israel is going to have an enduring presence in Gaza after this. They're going to have to have an enduring presence in Gaza after this. And the amount of insurgent fighting that's going to take place after that is going to be for years to come, in my opinion. It's going to take a year, 2, 3 years, maybe.
It's kind of like when we were.
Years, brothers, gonna be decades, man. Israel ain't never coming out of Gaza. They ain't never doing it again. You're not gonna get a 2-state solution. They're never coming out of there again, ever. This was horrific what happened. They're never coming out again, ever. They're gonna lock it down. And yeah, they're gonna have an insurgency, but it's gonna be brutal. It's going to be brutal, especially the first 30 days, in my estimation. The first 30 days is just going to be horrific. Horrific. It's going to be stupid numbers of casualties, you know what I mean, and what Israel's going to be doing. If some young kid jumps up and with a slingshot and shoots a pebble at an Israeli soldier and runs into a building, the Israelis they're gonna knock the building down. That's how they're going in now. When Hamas did what it did to those babies, they sealed their fate. They absolutely sealed their fate. Y'all saw in that video on the BBC how angry that nurse was at the government officials for letting this happen. Right? Israel is mad as Israel right now. Right? The U.S. is an article out there now. The U.S. confirmed that the Egyptians warned the Israelis 3 days before the attack. I'll be talking about that later on. I want to do a little probing into that. But it looks like that the Israelis were warned by the Egyptians, of all people. The Egyptians were like, "Hey, bro, it's a problem. We think something gonna happen. Y'all need to do something. Be ready." So yeah, the Israeli people ain't gonna sit back. Like, they're gonna fight first. And as soon as they finish fighting, they're gonna figure out what happened.
In Afghanistan or even Iraq, you heard the saying, no, it wasn't really saying, but if you kill one's father, like a boy's father, he's gonna hate the Americans forever, and he's gonna grow up to want to kill the Americans.
Facts.
It's kind of the same deal here. So think of all the people that are being killed. Fathers being killed, it's just gonna create even more of a cesspool over there that they're already used to seeing. So
yeah, and that's probably a good time to bring up that video that I pointed out earlier.
Which one was it?
The youth being trained.
Oh yeah.
Guys, watch this video. Watch this video he's about to show you. This thing blew me away. And it reminded me a lot of Hitler Youth video that I would watch. You can still watch Hitler Youth videos that go on YouTube, as you can see it in documentaries and stuff like that. They did it in Vietnam. They do it in China. They do it in North Korea. Right? They do it in countries in Africa with children soldier kind of thing, children soldiers. Watch, man, pay attention to this part right here, guys. Pay close attention.
Yeah.
Just so people kind of understand, this was, and we'll mute this so people don't have to hear it. This is essentially what you're looking at. This is a youth summer camp that Hamas holds for all their juniors and in order to prepare to fight Israel. And they do stuff like this all the flipping time. Now, they get lots of humanitarian aid and everything else, but instead of taking money and pumping it into the infrastructure of that country, they use it to buy munitions. They use it to build tunnels. They use it to do all sorts of like messed up stuff. And they'll sit here and they'll continue to train their youth as they go through it. Here's those tunnels that we're talking about. If you didn't see the tunnels yesterday, Hamas has tunnels like this all throughout the Gaza Strip, all around Israel. And here you go. Here's their youth being trained how to come out of the tunnels and to capture Israeli soldiers. And look at the families in the background. Look at them.
Dude hasn't. This is all that money, all that aid that was going into Gaza. You look at what's going on. We feel bad for the Palestinians, but they voted these people into office. They voted Hamas into power. And all that money is going to this instead of going into medicine, instead of going into infrastructure, instead of going into just living peacefully. It's going into this. You're going to teach your kids how to come out of here and attack people. This is what is going. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. And Israel sat there on the border and let them do it. They were all in, two-state solution. Okay, America, we're going to let you guys take the lead. All right, America, you say this is going to work. They're taking that money and building those tunnels. Those tunnels looked elaborate. It costs a lot of money to build a tunnel. Those tunnels looked elaborate. They got those tunnels running all through Gaza. Like, that's crazy. So the Israelis are going to have to deal with that. You over here, you got contact to your front or whatever, and then somebody's going to pop up to your six out of one of these tunnels and light you up. Throw some grenades at you, hit you with an RPG, and then duck back into those tunnels. And then you got to go chase them in those tunnels. And you got to deal with booby traps. You got to deal with ambushes inside the tunnel. America had to deal with this in Vietnam. This is not an easy situation. What the Israelis are about to do is going to be very difficult. Yeah, they ain't never coming out of Gaza. Yeah, it's going to take them. It's going to be the first 30 days, the first month of them just doing what they got to do. But like you said, the insurgency is going to be crazy. They're going to have the heaviest of hands to try to keep that under control. Israel had it under control to a certain extent, but then they came out of Gaza. Listen to the Americans.
This is what they are taught from the day they're born. It's absolutely sad. It's disgusting. Words can't describe what they're doing with their children, but this is how they train them. This is why I'm saying part of me, you know, I feel some sympathy for the youth because they're just indoctrinated at such a young age on all this crap. But then the other part, when it comes to, I don't know, cutting heads off babies, it's like, you can't justify that ever. You know what I mean? Like, everybody in their soul knows that cutting the head off a baby is wrong. Everybody.
There was quite a few. It wasn't just one. I saw this morning. It was, I think the number was like 40 or so. It was quite a few.
Yeah.
It wasn't a small amount.
No. And while we're on the number of 40, the United States in a press conference yesterday admitted that there's still around 40 Americans missing inside of Israel. And is
You see what all warriors are going to bring that up. Babies. They beheaded babies. Right. And like you said, he can have, I get him. I understand the sympathy towards these kids. The children are born innocent. We turn them into hate loving, murderers. You got to transform a lot of these kids into that. You ain't just born into that. These kids are being indoctrinated into this stuff. And they latch onto it. Some of them don't, but they're stuck. And like I said, they're out here in these little training camps. They got their parents, mom and dad, back there clapping like, yeah. What do you do when the whole, like your whole society, your whole life, everybody's telling you to do this and you know it's wrong. Like, bro, they about to get it. They're about to get it. And so, the people like, well, you got all these innocent civilians. Like, bro, y'all know where that money is going. They could have been telling the Israelis what's going on. They could have been telling the UN what's going on. They could have been, they probably were getting snatched up by Hamas. Like, we need this money for medicine. We need this money so we can take care of the elderly. We need this money so we can have schools. When you talk about the schools over there in Gaza, most of the schools, the good ones, are run by the UN. All that money they've been planning. They've been planning for the better part of a decade to do this, taking that money, buying bombs, bullets, digging tunnels, training kids to go out here and fight because they know the men going to get wiped out. And that's why the Israelis are going to go in there. And if you're 14 to 40, if you're 14 to 50, they're going to put you in a camp. They're going to snatch you up off the street and put you in a camp because that's the only way that's the only thing they can do, right, to keep the killing at a low. It's the only thing they can do. It's horrific.
Speculating that a good number of them could probably be hostages inside of Gaza. So what's this video?
This is actually just released by, I believe, the IDF. If I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure I'm correct there, but I'm pretty sure this is exactly who just released this video. Yes, it is. The IDF spokesperson. I haven't watched it, just so you're aware. She just wants to apparently set the record straight on Israel's border with Gaza, and it is in English, so
good.
It's time to set the record straight on Israel's border with Gaza. Hamas seized power in Gaza in 2007 and has controlled it since. Rather than investing in infrastructure to support their own civilians, Hamas has been investing millions and millions of dollars in terrorist infrastructure to kill Israeli civilians. That was Hamas's choice. Israel maintained two crossings into Gaza, Erez crossing in the north and Kerem Shalom in the south. On a normal day, you would see people, merchandise, food, and supplies crossing into Gaza. But on Saturday, October 7th, Hamas launched a brutal and barbaric attack on Israel. Hamas slaughtered hundreds of Israelis, injured thousands, and abducted dozens of innocent Israelis into Gaza. Hamas bombed the crossing into Gaza and murdered the IDF soldiers stationed there. They destroyed the crossing and live streamed their rampage. So yes, those crossings between Israel and Gaza are closed. As we continue to fend off daily attacks from Hamas terrorists, we will not be giving Hamas any supplies or materials. We are at war with Hamas. This is a war they started. We have no legal obligation to supply our enemy with anything. The Israel Defense Forces has no choice. We are here to protect our families.
good on her. I'm going to say right now, I read something.
And they're sitting there saying, well, you can't do that. You can't just starve people. That's how war is fought. We did it to the Japanese. We did it to the Germans, right? Hitler tried to do it to the Russians. That's what you do. That's how it works. Hamas is the formal government in Palestine. They voted them in. They voted Hamas in. That is the government. One government attacked another. That government started a war, just like Japan attacked America, December 7th, 1941. Just like that. One government was behind it. Just like the German U-boat captain sank the Lusitania, would help America get into World War I. Germany was responsible for that U-boat captain. He did what he did. America got into the war. Germany lost the war. Going back to World War I. It's if a government is sponsoring something, then that government is responsible. Government to government. The problem America had when they declared war on terrorism, there was no government. After Afghanistan, after we had the Taliban, who was in charge in Afghanistan, wiped them out. Right. But it's not like they had it, it was like a fractured government or whatever. This thing with Iran, though, they know for a fact that Iran helped supply, supported, trained Hamas for this attack on Israel. Iran's going to have to answer for that.
This morning that was actually pretty good. Stated that people inside of America. Okay, so this is kind of crazy. So the video you're about to play, I actually stemmed me to have a thought, and it's actually pretty true. I read, what did I read it at? That's a question. God, I read so much stuff. I don't know, but I read it this morning, and then I started thinking about it when I was taking a piss. I was like, man, this is true. Because you think about back in the day, Hamas is actually worse than Hitler and the Nazis. And this is going to sound kind of crazy. Okay.
This is your shower thought that Hamas is worse than Hitler.
Just give me a second. I'll explain myself. And
okay.
It's going to have a little bit of it's going to make some sense here in a sec. All right. So here's my way of thinking or believing that they are worse than Hitler and the Nazis. This is going to sound kind of crazy because we all know what the Nazis and Hitler did. Hitler at least knew that what he was doing was wrong. So he hid it deep inside of Poland, deep inside of areas in concentration camps. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hamas wants you to know that they're okay with beheading and killing Jews publicly and openly calling for the gassing and the killing of Jews. Clearly, that's in my thought process. That actually makes them way worse because they're going after the same thing, but they're openly doing it. They're live streaming it. Like they're doing it. They want the world to know, to instill fear on the world. Hitler was like, you know what? I know this is bad. I want to exterminate everybody that's of Jewish descent. So let's throw them in a camp and gas them for years so no one knows.
If Hamas had the same military power that the Nazis did, Israel would be in trouble.
Yeah. I would actually agree with that, but they don't, and they never will.
No,
they're never going to. But no. I'm just saying from an outside looking in.
I think you're right. If Hamas had the same capabilities the Nazis did, it would probably be 10 times worse than.
It wouldn't even be. It wouldn't be close. So no. What we're seeing right now would be dramatically different. It would be absolutely insane. If they're willing to do, I mean, you go ahead and pull up this thing, make that thing big, just so we can see this. If they're willing to do this kind of stuff, I mean, I haven't watched this video all the way through because I already know what this is probably going to be talking.
Now, this video they're about to show, you definitely want to see this video. But there are parts in here. I watched it one time and I was looking. There's certain clips within this video, which is a montage of clips that looks like it was AI generated. That's something that people need to really be afraid of now. Not afraid of, but cautious of, right? Aware of. AI technology, man. Like this fake stuff we got out here. AI technology, they can make anything look like anything and get folks riled up. So be real careful of the stuff that you're seeing. I was just kind of watching this video the first time through, and I'm like, that parts of it, I'm like, is that what dude's really saying? Like, that could be AI. So you're going to get a lot of that, people saying this, people saying that, heads of state saying this, heads of state saying that. Just remember, they can make a video of Barack Obama coming out and saying whatever. They can make a video of Donald Trump coming out saying whatever, right? It's just take everything with a grain of salt. Be really, really careful. Media today is propaganda, and they can get you believing something like this whole thing with the babies. In the back of my mind, I'm hoping it is a lie, but I don't think it is. But in the back of my mind, I'm hoping, like, man, I hope that's a lie. I hope they didn't behead 40 babies. Let's continue.
Talking about, because I saw at the beginning, Yeah, look at this. On Allah, bring annihilation to the Jews. That's what I'm trying to get out here. They are much worse than you guys, some people in America, and it's really crazy to me to believe that there's, I mean, excuse me, it's really crazy for me to understand. It's really hard for me to comprehend that people believe that they're really not that bad.
Well, they sit there and they go, well, look, they've just been oppressed for so long. And this is why that's why I showed that training video of the youth. That's why I want to show videos like this, because people are like, look, Palestine's just been oppressed. It's like, no, they've been put in a box for a reason. You know what I mean? They've been put in a box for a reason. The reason they've been put in a box is this.
اللهم عليك بيهود شل أركانهم ودمر كيانهم اللهم مكننا من رقاب يهود اللهم مكننا من رقاب يهود فلقد اقترب يوم ذبحكم وصالكم والقضاء عليكم حتى لا يبقى يهودي ولا صهيوني على وجه هذه الأرض عقيدتنا في قتالكم أننا سنبيدكم على بكرة أبيكم ولن نبقي منكم أحدا اقتلوهم حيث ثقفتموه ما فيش نعرفش حد وين ما بنستطيع سنقاومهم التي يتبر فيها ملكهم ويباد فيها أبناؤهم اللهم عليك باليهود ومن والاهم اللهم عليك بالأمريكان ومن والاهم اللهم أحصهم عددا واقتلهم بددا ولا تغادر منهم أحدا.
And I love how they always throw America.
Like, bro, it's crazy. The time I spent in the Middle East, I've been in rooms where there were Israelis and Palestinians in the room, right? Moving around, doing whatever. I forget what it was. It was like a quasi-political kind of thing. So, and the hatred. I mean, the hatred, bro. It just blew my mind that the hatred that they have for the one another. And, I mean, I get it. I get where it comes from. But the thing that gets me, though, like, I'm in this room and, bro, you couldn't tell me, like, I need you to, do me a favor, go point out all the Jews or Israelis. Do me a favor, go out, point out all the Muslims or the Palestinians. I couldn't do it. It's like gathering a bunch of Americans and putting us in a room and like, okay, I need you to identify, just point out the people from Michigan and the people from Texas and the people from California, and you wouldn't be able to do it. Like, you wouldn't. Everyone is just like, we're all the same, like we're humans. It sucks that we got to go through this, but you wouldn't be able to do it, right? It's not like science fiction. It's not like putting me in a room full of Kardashians, Ferengi, Klingon, Borg. If you send me in there, it's like, I need you to get all the Borg and all the Klingons and all the Kardashian and all the Ferengi in separate groups. I could do that. I could walk in there and be like, okay, here go the Borg, here go the Ferengi, here go the Kardashians. I can do that. Here go the humans, right? And the only outlier will be that one human is like, I identify with the Borg. Like, you identify with the Borg, we'll go over there and get assimilated so we know what you look like. Go on over there and get assimilated. Talking about I identify with the Borg. You a human until you get assimilated. It's just one of those things, like, bro, I couldn't tell the difference, but you see this hatred and you're going to see this carnage. You're going to see this carnage, bro. And it's just, I don't know, I just wanted to say that.
America in there as well. Got to throw America in there. Yep. It's absolutely messed up. And this is the reason they're shoved in the tiny little box that they're at. And honestly, that the Israeli spokesperson, the Israeli military spokesperson that we just listened to, she was dead on when she said, look, they have chosen not to spend their money wisely. Israel has been supplying them water, gas, and electricity for how many years now? And all of the money that Hamas has choose to spend on their military, they could have been spending on building a peaceful nation, self-sustaining, trying to get recognized on the world stage, doing things of that nature. But instead, they've chose violence. That's what they chose. They choose annihilation. They choose violence. They choose killing. They choose destruction. They choose breeding and just embedding their children with this false narrative, this crazy narrative.
And I love how someone's.
I agree with that, brother, wholeheartedly, 100%. 100%. They voted Hamas in as the government. They put them in charge. And instead of taking the money and the money that comes in from humanitarian, channels and donations that comes in from other Arab nations and Muslims from around the world, America included, instead of taking that money and building their government. Israel left. They let, hey man, go ahead. We're gonna stay outside this gate. Y'all go ahead and do what y'all gonna do in there. Instead of taking that money and doing what he said, building a society, showing that you can thrive, they chose to take that money and use it for weapons of war. They chose to hate. They chose to not get over it. Like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to plan this. We're going to dig tunnels, right? We're going to get RPGs. We're going to make IEDs. We're going to go over here and train these kids. We're going to tell these kids that those people over there that look just like your cousin, those people over there are the bad guys. Right? This is gang banging on the highest level possible, bro. They getting at it. You talking about people, they say that about us black folks. How come black folks be killing each other? Man, this is the same thing over there, bro. You can't tell the difference, man. I can't. We're going to train you to go over there and do these horrific things. And that's what they chose to do. Okay, fine. That's what you chose to do. Guess what? Israel back. They back and they with a vengeance because they going to deal with you for doing what you did. You went too far, Hamas. You went too far. And guess what? You ain't never getting Israel out of Gaza, ever. They ain't never leaving. And I ain't mad at them. I wouldn't leave either. You ain't never getting them out of Gaza.
Some of the things here on Twitter, the one of the trending hashtags is Palestine under attack. I mean, it's, I get it. Two sides killing each other. It's bad, but come on now. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoy this. I would assume over the next couple of days, we're going to see a lot of stuff come.
I'm definitely going to link this in the description below. Make sure you guys go over there, like and subscribe. Man, they're giving some really good information. If you want some real good information on what's going on in Ukraine with the Ukraine-Russian war, that's the place to get it. They got some really good information. They break down maps. They break down what's going on in that war, in that conflict, which is more of a conventional style war. What's going to happen here in Gaza, you're not going to be able to break that down. This is door to door, house to house, digging people out of tunnels, knocking buildings down, rounding folks up and putting them in camps. That's, you're going to have to secure folks. That's what's going to happen here in Gaza. That's going to get ugly. This is going to be something the world hasn't seen since the last time Israel occupied Gaza. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I was able to find that video of it's a BBC video. It's like 5 minutes long. That talks about Israeli village massacre. This is a frontline report from the BBC. This is a few days old. I'm gonna show this, and then we're gonna wrap it up. But this video, pay close attention to the soldiers, the hardened soldiers that'll be walking around in this video. Look at their eyes. Listen to what they're saying. But pay attention to their eyes. Like, listen, look at what's going on. Y'all, check this out, guys.
Well, throughout the day here, the Israeli military has been recovering the bodies of whole families, including several children cut down in a rural community just a mile from the border with Gaza. Israeli soldiers on the scene describe it as a massacre. Our international editor, Jeremy Bowen, has been to the village of Kfar Aza, where the bodies today have been recovered.
The first few days of war at this small Israeli community called Kfar Aza are a microcosm of Israel's trauma and a glimpse of what might come next. Israeli troops only seized back full control of the kibbutz this morning. It's one of a series of small Israeli villages along the Gaza wire. When we arrived, they were still firing on houses across on the Gaza side. Israeli soldiers started their assault here at around 6 o'clock on Saturday evening, 12 hours or so after Hamas attacked. And during that day, Hamas carried out a massacre. Kfar Aza was taken by surprise, like everywhere else Hamas attacked. The kibbutz guard, armed civilian volunteers, died fighting back. Dead Hamas gunmen are decomposing where they were killed. The evidence is that they stormed through the kibbutz, killing families, including babies. Only this morning could Israeli troops finish recovering all the civilians Hamas killed.
They have just jihad machine to kill everybody without weapons, without nothing, just normal citizens that want to take their breakfast, and that's all. And they kill them and they cut some of their heads. It's a great thing to see. It's very difficult.
Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. This is a hardened soldier. This is a warrior. This man has seen war before. He's done what he's done before. He's a commander in the Israeli army. I mean, he had to come up through the ranks. Look at his eyes, man. Trust and believe that every Israeli soldier who is staged on the border of Gaza right now has been shown what he saw. Every last one of them, every last soldier, every last rifleman has been shown them. Every tank crew, right? Every artillery crew, every pilot. They have all been shown. Look at this. Open your eyes and look. This is what they're doing. This is what they're going to do to you. If they did this to a baby, what do you think they're going to do to you if they catch you? Look at this. This is who you are fighting. That's what I would do with my soldiers. Look at this. I want you to look at this. Nothing's blurred out. They're going to show you everything. Hamas have no idea what they started.
To see it, but we must remember who is the enemy and what our mission. Our mission is the justice. We're in the right side, and all the world need to be behind us.
The woman under this cover, another officer said, was decapitated. He said they killed her in her front garden. Even for experienced soldiers, fighting their way back in against a determined enemy was hard going. How difficult was the fighting?
I cannot imagine.
Look at that man's eyes. He's a major general in the Israeli Defense Force. Look at that man's eyes. Imagine what he's seen. And he's seen combat before. He understands what it is. But look at his eyes, bro. He's seen something. Could you imagine seeing children mutilated like that? Could you imagine? I mean, yeah, they on the fight. They are definitely the good guys in this one. I don't care. Hamas crossed the line. You shouldn't do that. Israel and the Israelis are the good guys. The Israeli soldiers are the good guys in this situation. They're going to go in there and do what they got to do. They're going to do what they got to do. And if you want to know what I think they're going to do, watch any documentary about the Marines who served in World War II and they were island hopping. Watch any documentary. You know what I mean? Watch The Pacific. Watch, it's on Netflix right now. Watch The Pacific. See what the Marines did on Guadalcanal. Look what they did on Peleliu. What they did in Okinawa. What they had to do. That's what's going to happen in Gaza. It might be a little worse. Go to Netflix right now. If you ain't doing nothing tonight, watch Netflix. Watch The Pacific. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, you look at those documentaries from World War II, and especially what the Marines went through in the Pacific. Watch those documentaries. Look at their eyes in the documentaries, and then look at this dude's eyes. It's the same eyes.
Have you ever had to do anything like this before as a soldier?
No, not like this.
What happens next? What do you do next? What does Israel do next?
I don't know. I would do what I will tell me to do. I will do. I hope that we will go inside.
Into Gaza?
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, we're ready for it.
The bodies of the dead Israeli civilians will have to be identified. Their murder was, without doubt, a war crime. But what about the Palestinian civilians Israel is killing in attacks on Hamas?
As you know, all armies have obligations under the laws of war to protect civilian life, even in war zones. Are you doing this with this level of airstrikes that are going on?
Man, that shit was out the window, man, when they saw those babies missing their heads, bro. That shit's out the window. It's out the window when they saw what they was doing to those kids, those young adults at that concert. Y'all saw in the other video, that guy was trying to shoot them women point blank. The only reason they survived is because Israelis with guns came out and saved them. Nah, bro. Like, no. Hamas has purposely embedded themselves in the city among the civilians. They did it on purpose. Again, the Palestinian people voted for this. This is what they wanted. All right, this is what you get. If you're not gonna tell us what these bad guys are, because you know that's who we coming for, we want them. And a lot of people are like, well, America's never did anything like that. Yes, we have. Know your history. World War II, Belgium. World War II, Germany. There's stories of U.S. forces towards the end of the war in World War II in Europe. Like it's just this one unit, like, hey, there was some Hitler used sniper. Hit a couple soldiers, right? Got a couple KIAs. He's in this village. The Americans pulled up on the village and say, hey, y'all need to bring us that sniper. The villagers were like, oh, we can't do it. We can't find it. Oh, whatever. The villagers didn't want to do it. Americans said, fine. Go on back into your village. The CO, the commanding officer, picked up the phone, picked up a little horn, you know what I'm saying, a little field phone, and called in a strike, called in an artillery strike. Called in the saturation and called for high explosives, HE rounds, fire for effect. And guy on the other end was like, on the way. And they just send in all these artillery rounds, leveled the village. The villagers come running out. Why'd you do it? We told you to give us the sniper. You don't want to give us a sniper? Fine, we'll deal with it. We got him, didn't we? But the whole village, hey, should have gave us the sniper. The United States Army did that in 1944. That's just one story. Tons of stories like that. Right? This was after they began to discover the death camps. The gloves were off. When America saw what the Nazis were doing, the gloves were off. This is what y'all doing? The Nazis were doing the same thing. This is what y'all doing? Fine. We know how to deal with y'all. We ain't playing no more. The gloves are off. That's what's going on right now. This is what's about to happen in Gaza. And I tell you what, if Hezbollah want to get jumpy, they're going to come into the West Bank too. They'll do the same thing.
The moment, and any ground operation that might happen?
I'm sure that we fight for our value and our culture all our life. And you fought with value and you keep your value in the same time. And I know that we will be very aggressive and very strong, but we keep our moral and our value. We are Israeli, we are Jewish, and war is a very difficult theater, a lot of problem. People that stay in the battlefield are suffer a lot. You can see what's happening here. But we come to kill an enemy, not a civilian in their bed.
But in only a few days, Israel has inflicted immense damage in Gaza. They've cut off supplies of food, water, and power and killed hundreds of civilians. Palestinian suffering, Israel says, is the responsibility of Hamas. Israel's already been accused of breaking the laws of war, and that will get louder as more Palestinian civilians are wounded and killed. At Kfar,
that was horrible to see those young Palestinian children, man, wounded. Man, it's horrible. It really is. It's horrible. But the reporter is right. Hamas did this. Those Palestinians need to be mad at Hamas. Why y'all mad at the Jews? Why y'all mad at Israel? Israel wasn't there. Hamas brought this on them. And if Israel really was going to get funky with it, they could knock down all them buildings. Every last one. If Israel has the firepower to knock down every single building in Gaza, the Gaza Strip wouldn't have a building standing over 3 feet tall. If they wanted to be barbaric with it, they could do that. They're not doing that. They're striking the enemy wherever the enemy is. And if the enemy runs into a building, they're going to tear the building down. Simple as that. Palestinians need to tell the Israelis where Hamas is. Tell the Israelis where the weapons are. Tell the Israelis where the rockets are. Tell the Israelis where the tunnels are. Tell the Israelis where the IEDs are. Tell the Israelis where the booby traps are in those tunnels. That's what they should be doing, in my opinion. And if you ain't doing that, fine. The Israelis are going to do what they got to do. War is war, and war is hell.
Gaza, Israeli troops were thinking of what's next. Perhaps a ground invasion of Gaza.
it was tough enough for the Israelis to come in to recapture this area, these small border communities. It is a different order of military challenge to cross the wire, to get into Gaza, potentially to fight house to house at a time when Hamas will have made its plans and will be waiting.
Some of these men are moving north in case war starts with Hezbollah, the powerful Lebanese militia backed by Iran. What happened here is why Israel is shaken to its core, why it insists it must break Hamas, and it points to the danger and uncertainty ahead. Jeremy Bone, BBC News, Kfar Aza.
Yeah, that last dude that was sitting there looked like one of my cousins. But yeah, man, that's what's going on. This is going to get way worse. Israel's going to do what Israel needs to do. They're going to take care of business. Simple as that. Hamas brought this on themselves, right? And the Palestinian people, by voting Hamas into power, are responsible for some extent. You know what I mean? People ask me, like, again, like, what do you think about all this, man? Don't you feel for those civilians in there? Like, yeah, bro, it's on them, man. That's what you get. Be careful who you vote for. And now you see what's going on, and y'all ain't running over to Israel to tell them where to find these things. If you ain't going, if you're not going to help yourself, then you just got to suffer the consequences, man. That's how it works, man. You're just going to have to suffer the consequences. You know, this is why people got to educate themselves, man. Y'all got to spend all this time looking at TikTok and all this other useless stuff. I mean, it's cool to look at that mindless stuff sometimes, but you also got to educate yourself on what's going on with the real world and how the real world works. And while all this is going on overseas, what's going on here in America? Has anybody watched the stock market lately? Has anybody watched the bond market lately? Right? Has anybody seen what's going on with the unemployment numbers and the job situation in America? Is anybody looking at that? Right? Is anybody looking at what the Fed is doing? Is anybody watching the unemployment numbers? Smoke and mirrors, baby. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. You're going to take your eyes off of this situation to look at that situation. You need to be looking at both. You need to be looking at both. Progress in Motion Picture Studio. Welcome. I don't think I've seen you here before. Welcome. It's very hard to digest the cruelty of war. I'm curious to get your opinion on something. Do you think Israelis slant Iran, Russia slant Ukraine, Sudan and multiple civil wars in Africa signs of something giving? The last part I don't understand, bro. The signs of something giving. That part I don't understand, but the world is a very unstable place. Africa and the Middle East, especially. Right? Especially tough, bro. You know, you have a certain type of hatred. You know, you go all the way back to Africa. Like you look at the Hutus and the Tutsis, you know what I mean? You could go all the way back to, you know, what was going on in South Africa with apartheid. You could like what was going over here in North America. You know what I mean? You could go, I mean, you could look at the Armenians and the Turks. If you want to go back that far, we all know what happened with the Jews and the Nazis. You know, you look at what's going on now with the Shia and the Sunni. I mean, it's just, as a species, bro, we just can't stop killing one another, man. We just can't stop doing it. You know, Russia, Ukraine, that's Putin, bro. That's 100% Putin. That's what that is. You know, Putin's probably the richest man on the planet, and he doesn't want to come out of, you know, he doesn't want to come off of power. He did what he did, and he honestly believed that his military was capable of handling that, you know, Ukraine in, you know, a couple of days, which should have been the case. It's been 36 hours tops. It should have been, you know what I mean, 72 hours. You know what I mean? He should have been able to secure Ukraine. He couldn't. Why? Because his government is so corrupt. You know, his generals are stealing money, not training, doing whatever. Russia, Ukraine, that's Putin. This thing here Hamas, Hezbollah, Israel. That's just that hatred that goes back at least 50 years. Right? Why did the Jews come there in the first place, bro? They were trying to escape the oppression that they faced during World War II in Europe. They were almost annihilated, bro. And they've been fighting ever since. Right? So, yeah, the Palestinians and the Arabs are real mad at, and they want to displace Israel, but they can't. The Israelis will fight to the last, bro. You're never going to displace them. So that's that. The Sunni Shia thing, you know what I mean? Like Iran and Iraq was fighting. Saddam Hussein was gassing people again. Put them in a room where I wouldn't be able to tell me who the Iranians are, tell me who the Iraqis are. I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference, bro. They all look like they're related to me. But man, there's a lot of hate there. And then you look at Afghanistan, even before like 9/11 and Americans' involvement and all that, you have those tribal conflicts and all that. Man, humans like to kill each other, bro. You know what I mean? Oh, I see what you're saying. And you're referring to the current economic conditions and tensions rising. Yeah, man. I mean, I think the stage is set. Like I said, like, the thumbnail of this video, like, I put in there like the escalation, bro. Like yeah, man, the stage is set. I think it can happen. It can happen quick, and it could definitely happen around what's going on with Israel. Israel's going to take care of Gaza. They're going to do what they got to do. They might get into the West Bank, use this as a reason to get into the West Bank and take care of Hezbollah, right? And then when they finish that, they're going to go to the source, man. They're going to take care of Iran. At least try. In America, we are committed to supporting Israel. So in that region, that means us against them. That's America and Israel is coming to deal with the Muslims. It could happen, bro. It could happen. It could absolutely happen. And I like and thank you very much for your comments, man. Thank you so much, family. I don't know if you're male or female or whatever, but thank you. But yeah, the current economic conditions, man, like people who are destitute, broke, like really poor. I mean, they ain't got nothing to lose, man. I mean, and a lot of that is just, they just don't have anything to lose. The reason America hasn't devolved into some chaos is because, the average broke person in America, the poor people in America, it's not like being poor in Nicaragua or being poor in Palestine. Like being poor in America, you rich compared to the rest of the world. And every American who doesn't have anything believes that they can wake up tomorrow and be a millionaire. So long as they have that belief, they're never going to go grab their weapons or go out and just go, crash out. They're not going to do it because they believe that they can be successful. They can be a millionaire. You see it all the time. I know guys who had nothing and, right now they're flying around on private jets. So you can do it. You can do it legally. You can do it illegally. But in America, Americans believe that they can level up anytime. It's up to them. I can just do it. They believe in that. So the rest of the world, nah. Honduras, Nicaragua, parts of like Venezuela, Argentina, parts of Colombia, nah. They wilding out, man. It's a different world. They fighting to live another day. The Middle East, like Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, the Saudis a little different because there's a lot of wealth there, but it's a lot. They have extreme wealth in Saudi and they have extreme poverty. So, and I saw that when I was over there, like, wow, these people, you got people in the desert who are just like dirt poor, ain't got nothing. And you got these billionaires over here, Riyadh and Rafah and all that kind of stuff. It was crazy. It was crazy. You look at Dubai. If you got money, you good in Dubai. But if you don't have money, you hate life. That class system is real. I don't know what it looks like in Europe these days. I think especially like in Western Europe, there's people going to help you out. I don't know about Eastern Europe, but yeah, I think that tensions are going to continue to rise, and I think we're at that boiling point. I think that there's a very good chance that this could turn into a good old fashioned shooting war right out of the Middle East, and then who knows what China's going to do? Who knows what North Korea might try? Right, something like this it could spark the whole world. We could be looking at a global conflict. We could be. If people had money and resources, and not even a lot of money, if people could wake up, feed their family, have clean water, take showers at night, watch a little bit of TV or read a book, and don't have to worry about someone coming and doing something to them. If they don't have to worry about being forced to believe this or being forced to believe that, a little bit of free speech or something like that. Those people ain't trying to pick up weapons and do nothing. Americans ain't really trying to get involved in some sort of World War II style conflict, global conflict, because we got it good over here. You know what I mean? But Americans will get involved because, first of all, we're violent. Secondly, we know if we don't handle it over there, we're gonna have to deal with it over here. So this could be the start of something. Progress in Motion Picture Studio. This could be the start of something. Thanks for coming through. I appreciate the question, man. Brother Dino, what's good, man? Dino Store, man, checking in from the UK. It's like DL jobs are booming. 336,000 new jobs in September, double what expected. Yeah, but there are numbers out there that shows it's half that. Which numbers do you believe? That's the problem over here in America. There's a ton of help wanted signs here in Florida, though, for real. But we're going into, again, this conflict is about to pop off. We still have this commercial real estate thing that's about to pop off over here in America. All the money in our economy is being pushed by the real estate market. That market is starting to cool off big time. The correction is coming. Interest rates are going to continue to go up. I don't think Jerome Powell is going to drop interest rates, even with this conflict. I think he's going to, continue to raise interest rates. We'll see how it plays out, bro. We'll see how it plays out, man. But don't believe the hype, man. People think it's all great over here. It's lollipops and candy canes over here in America. It's not. There's a ton of working poor over here in America. They're not doing anything because they believe, if they really wanted to, that they could be the next Patrick Bet-David, right? They could be the next Walter Weeks, right? They can be driving a Lambo if they work hard. They believe that. Truth is, that's not going to happen. Right? There's that jobs report you're talking about, 336 new jobs, bro. Like one person might have 4 of them jobs, bro. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of Americans aren't even really working like that. And the way we count our unemployment numbers is real shady math. But eventually the truth is going to come out. This economy has been doing this, and this. They say, man, but it's going to can't go up forever. It's going to hit. It's going to be one of those events like a Black Thursday, Black Monday, or Black Tuesday. It's going to be one of those things. You're going to wake up one day and the market is going to crash and all sorts of stuff. We still got problems with our regional banking system. The small and regional banks are still having a lot of problems. It's going to be a money crunch. Americans are making money, but they can't really buy stuff. Purchasing power is way down because of inflation. Like, bro, it's not pretty over here, man. Most of the folks I see out here, man, they are really, really struggling. On there's people being evicted. There's foreclosures popping off. There's foreclosures starting to go up. People are losing their cars. If you lose your car in America, you're gonna have trouble getting to work. You can't get to work. You can't make money. Like it's a bro, it's a balancing. It's a very delicate balancing act over here in America. Like it could go either way. Either way. So, and then, like I said, the have yachts and the have not. Shout out to Andrew Tate. He's right about that. People with money got money over here, man. They doing it. They killing it. They killing the game. But the majority of people, the 99%, they ain't got it like that, bro. They ain't got it like that. And when you get down to like the 50 percentile of Americans, they're barely holding on. They can barely afford to buy groceries. There's so many people going to there's stores set up here where you can go and get free groceries and stuff like that. People are going to the food banks and stuff like that. Families, people are pulling up in their SUVs, their brand new Ford Chevy SUV, and going in there and getting free food because they can't afford groceries because the purchasing power is down. And yeah, there are tons of jobs out here, but they're counting the Uber job. They're counting the people who run up in, the Postmates and all that kind of stuff, Uber Eats, they're counting those jobs, right? All the jobs they're talking about are part-time jobs. They're not talking about full-time employment. And then when you look at the people who are making the big money, the big corporate jobs, they're starting to downsize because they're preparing for this recession. So what does that mean? They're laying people off, right? So you go from making that job where you were making $60,000, $70,000 a year, you just got laid off. What are you going to do? You're going to go work at Target and you're going to start driving Uber, trying to maintain that life that you couldn't afford at $70,000 a year. Now you're making $50,000 or $45,000 a year. That math don't math. It could be a thing. It could be a thing. Progress in motion. With the conversation of class system, what would be the best social structure? Capitalism, socialism, communism. I like capitalism, but in that system, the winners win hard and the losers lose hard. Yeah, I'm not a fan of socialism. I'm not a fan of communism. It just doesn't work. It works on paper. socialism and communism just leads to mass corruption. Yeah, we got corruption on the capitalism side too. I think America's problem, like I think our system of capitalism works, but the problem is our political system is being bought by the 1%, in my opinion. So you need a lot of money to be involved in the American political system. If we were to remove the money from the system, right? If we have this thing on the books, there's a law out there, it's called Citizens United. Citizens United was basically a way to allow dark money. You know what I mean? It allows people to use money to influence our political system, right? If they can overturn Citizens United, if we can enact term limits, right? We got politicians that have been in the White House who are older than me. We got politicians who have been politicking in Washington for the better part of 50, 60 years, right? They do it until they die. They're making so much money. Look at someone like Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, the people on the left, they love Nancy Pelosi. I'm pretty sure she's a nice woman. But Nancy Pelosi did not go to D.C. worth $100 million, $200 million. She didn't get there with that money. She got that money after she got there. I'm not mad at her. I'm glad she got her bread, right? And I'm just using her as an example. You can do the same thing on the other side. You look at someone like McConnell. Like Mitch McConnell's been in, he's been in D.C. since the Vietnam era. That's another one who didn't go to Vietnam, draft dodger. You know what I mean? He might actually been too young, though, to be honest, but that's another one. You should not be a professional politician. If our government ran in a way that the founding fathers kind of envisioned it, I think our country will be better. A truly representative, government, it would be better. But right now, politics is dominated by the 1%. You can't run for president or senator or governor without millions and millions of dollars. Who's going to be able to do that? Someone like Vivek Ramaswamy, he's a billionaire and he's running and he's spending hundreds of millions of dollars on his own campaign. Why is he spending so much money? Right? Because he knows there's more money at the end of that, at the end of that path. So I think our form of government would work if we can take the money out of our politics. Imagine if the people who go to DC really go to represent the folks that they're from North or South Dakota or from Ohio or from Michigan or from Wisconsin or from Florida. Like just the mom, the dad, the person who cares about America, who just goes. If we can do some campaign finance reform, and we can get regular Americans, they're going to go to America and represent Americans, right? And they're not there to be professional politicians. They're not there to make money, right, for themselves, to enrich themselves. If they're there to get government money to come back and help their state, to help their county, to help their city, then I think it will work better. You got to take the money out, right? So I think that our form here in America, I think that capitalism over socialism and communism, absolutely. I'm for capitalism. Yeah, capitalism has its problems, but I'm for that. But if we can take the money out of our political system, I think it'll work better. Is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's not going to be perfect, nowhere near perfect. But in America, I mean, look, I'm descended from slaves, bro. My grandmother's great grandmother died a slave, right? Think about that. Died a slave. I'm descended from slaves. I've had an amazing life. I started on the other side of the tracks, but we made it out. And it's not just me. It's a lot of us under our current government. We made it. Right. And it's just, I never would have gotten to the FAA as an air traffic controller if it wasn't for affirmative action. Never would have happened. Right. Vivek Ramaswamy's father never would have gotten into America if it weren't for the H-1 visa program. It never would have happened. Vivek Ramaswamy, he benefited from affirmative action, but yet this guy will, he literally made his billions, gets into politics, and he wants to do away with all the things that helped him and his family. We got people who are out there just doing this wild stuff, right? Anything for $1. I'm just using him as an example. I mean, it's tons of politicians out there just like him, right? But there are tons of politicians out there who are doing good for their country, doing good for their state, doing good for their community. You don't know their names, but they're out there doing the work, right? If you know their name, and you're not in that person's district, right? More than likely that person is bought by the 1%. If you know, like you look at someone like AOC, look at her net worth from the time that she got into office before, when she was a bartender, to where she is now. I'm not mad. I'm just using her as an example. You know, I'm just using her as that Bobart woman. Same thing. She didn't even finish high school, but look, she's a representative in Congress. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I think the system works, but we have to do some tweaks here in America. Now, I can't speak on the rest of the world. I mean, the rest of the world got to do what they got to do. I don't know what part of the world you in, fam, but the rest of the world they got to do what they got to do. I wouldn't want to live in Canada. I wouldn't want to live in Australia, right? At all. You know what I mean? I don't think I would want to live in UK because I'm looking at a lot of the stuff that they're doing. Like if you say certain things, like if you don't identify somebody by their chosen pronoun, you can wind up, getting arrested or fined or something like that. I don't know about that, bro. I like being able to say what I want to say over here in America. I can call you whatever I want to call you. I don't care about your pronouns. So yeah, man, I would say that capitalism. Yeah, I'm for capitalism over socialism or communism. Absolutely. But here in America, we got to definitely work on our system. Our system is just ripe for corruption and it hurts us. And you can go back and look, you can look at the American political system and you can see where the changes occurred that benefits the 1% and it hurt the bottom 99. The 1% can't legally buy your vote, right? They don't want you to vote because if the average American would vote, they will vote down a lot of the stuff that's going on out here. But the 1% owns the politicians. They own the media. They can make people believe pretty much what they want them to believe. And so long as they keep them disillusioned, they won't go out and vote. Americans don't vote. Americans don't vote. Americans don't serve. I would definitely make it a requirement. If Americans served and they knew they could see what the rest of the world is doing, I think more Americans would definitely vote and participate in the system. Right. But they believe the system doesn't work. The system does in fact work. Right. It works so well that the 1% is willing to invest billions into the political system to get the things that they want. Right. They're buying Supreme Court judges, Clarence Thomas, bought and paid for. They're buying politicians. You know what I mean? Matt Gaetz, bought and paid for. Right. They're using the laws to enrich themselves. You know what I mean? Like I said, you look at stuff like that. You got Nancy Pelosi, her husband. He's supposed to be some sort of financial genius. Nah, she just gets the insider information and tells him where to put the money, right? And it's not illegal because she controls what laws are legal and what's legal and what's illegal. She was controlling that from the house. So they didn't break any laws, but boy, they did enrich themselves. And again, I ain't mad. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I ain't mad. Get your money, but at least take care of America. You know what I mean? He's like, Brother Dino's like, you got Americans calling the UK communists. Go figure. Yeah, for real, bro. I mean, I do enjoy the people of UK. Like, I love to visit, but some of those laws seem to be a little extreme, and I don't understand how Parliament works. I don't know how, you guys get the laws and stuff like that. But bro, is it true? Like, can you be like fined or arrested for not acknowledging someone's chosen pronoun or whatever? Or if you like if you say something like they're saying, and again, I don't know if this is true or not, but there's like, if you were to approach a woman and say, hey, I think you're very lovely, I would like to buy you tea or something like that, and she doesn't like you or whatever, can she like tell the police that you're harassing her or whatever, and you have to deal with that? I mean, like, you can't even approach. It sounds like, be careful who you approach. Correct me if I'm wrong, brother, which you always do. Thank you. I appreciate you. You always keep me on my toes. Brother Dino's like, DL, Nancy married into money. Husband Paul has his own fund management company. Yeah, bro, I looked into that, man. Hey, listen, bro, I'm just keeping it 100. I don't think he was doing nearly as well prior to them meeting. And then, I'm just saying, bro, I could be wrong. You know how I am, man. I like to try to keep it 100. I try to keep it fair. I could be wrong, but his numbers are better than Warren Buffett's, bro. Like, how? You know what I mean? It's just his wife was right there. Do this, do that. There were tons of politicians who got caught up in that, moving money around when they knew something was coming. When the pandemic was coming, they were moving money around before it hit because they get these secret briefings and stuff like that, bro. Again, I ain't hating the players. The game is just the game. It's set up the way it's set up. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's why Brother Dino keeps it 100. He's like, wrong, DL. Like, I don't know. I'm keeping it 100. This is the narrative that's being spun over here in America in certain corners. I'm like, man, that sounds pretty extreme. And then you read, I know I read some stories about Australia, how they are changing the laws, like this catcalling laws and stuff like that. I saw articles in Australia, but y'all know how I am, man. I believe, you know what I mean? I take everything with a grain of salt, man. I don't believe all this. A lot of stuff is just pure nonsense. Progress in motion. I agree with you. Equality is not the solution. Regulating capitalism and implementing fairness is our best chance. Competition is important. You need competition, man. You need that. You need people to be able to come up with that next widget and be able to, you know, make the next best new thing, the next best new widget, and get properly compensated for it. You can't do that in China. China knew communism doesn't really work. That's why they modified it a certain way where some people can, you know, make some millions and the Chinese government just takes it. You know what I mean? Or take a good chunk of it or take ownership of it. You know, here in America, you know, in theory, you own what you create. And then, I mean, if you look at Russia fell apart. I mean, people had money, but the money couldn't buy them nothing. You had food lines and all that kind of stuff. There was no need to go out there and create. There was no need to go out there and become better. There was just no need. Look at Cuba. You know, Fidel Castro, you know, look at what he had. Like, I mean, they're still driving around in cars from the 1950s. You know, they're educated though. Like they're, you know, everyone in Cuba, I think they got the highest literacy rate on the planet. Like almost, I think everyone can read in Cuba, you know, but they have the knowledge, but they don't have any money. They don't have any purchasing power. They can't do nothing. They can't innovate. You need to be able to innovate. You know what I mean? And Brother Dino, yeah, man. Yeah, because I don't know how it works over there, man. Like I say, you hear the stories. It's like, man, can you talk to women? Can you do this? Can you do that? I didn't have any issues when I would come to visit. I like it over there. I had great conversations. But I don't, you know, you just hear these crazy stories, bro. That's why I'm glad I got you here, is you keep me straight. He's like wrong. And I'm pretty sure he's talking about me being wrong about getting arrested for trying to talk to a woman or not acknowledging somebody's pronouns. You know, that, you know, like I said, freedom is ugly. Yeah, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, you're getting whacked with media streams, i.e., Benny was behind the Hamas attack to keep power. Like, bro, this Hamas thing, irregardless of who was behind it, you know, like I said, the intelligence agencies and Israel knows this, and America knows this, and pretty much the whole world knows that Iran was, you know, had a hand in this, right? You know, they're gonna have to deal with that. But what Hamas did, the people that they targeted, like when you kill innocents like that, all bets are off, bro. All bets are off. And maybe that's part of it. You want to put the tinfoil hat on, that could be part of it. What they did was completely wrong. All bets are off, and they're gonna get dealt with along with a bunch of innocent people. Israel ain't playing, bro. And then I gotta read I look at Al Jazeera, I look at BBC, I look at CNN and Fox and all that. And then I go in and I look at these like the Independent, you know what I mean? I try to look at some other stuff, like some news outlets in New Zealand and Australia. I can't read, so like Japan, South Korea, you know what I mean, and places like that. I can't, they don't translate a lot of them, so I can't read what's going on there as much. Same thing with Germany, but you know, you get the translation and you have to rely on the translation. But man, it's crazy out here, bro. I'm trying to piece it together. We're just trying to piece it together. And so as long as I got you rocking with me, you'll be able to keep me grounded and keep me on the right course, man. You, Miss Globe Girl, Miss AKA Lady, you know what I mean? And we got our new fam, you know what I mean, Progress in Motion, you know what I mean? So we got folks who are going to come in and, you know, and maybe together we can figure it out, man. This is what I love about YouTube. We can all come together and try to figure it out. See, they had 24 female recruits watching the CCTV and Gaza barriers. Troops moved to the West Bank. Bro, like Israel is definitely going to deal with the West Bank, man. They're going to deal with Hezbollah as well. You gave Israel an opportunity to just kind of run the table, and that's what they're going to do. Irregardless of who's behind it, that's what Israel's going to do. With American backing, who's going to stop them? They're going to take Gaza, and the West Bank is next. And then they're going to do something to Iran. So this is, again, this goes back to that escalation thing. I absolutely 100% see this escalation. This definitely can happen, bro. It's like, it's gonna be ugly. Like, it's gonna be ugly. It just tell you that. It's definitely gonna be ugly, man. And I'm dropping the link to Downrange. If you guys be so kind as to give me a follow over there, Downrange Politics Podcast, which is where I'm normally going to be talking about this stuff. I'm trying to, do more content. I'll post maybe once or twice, sometimes 3 times a week over there. I'm going to do more, but I'm real focused on, I really want to know. But yeah, we're going to get it together, bro. Like, the next 30 days, Israel's going to do what Israel does. They're going to take Gaza, do what they got to do. And then the next 30 days, it'll probably like what's going on in the West Bank. Or that might jump off at the same time. Like, Hezbollah has already fired on Israeli soldiers. Israeli soldiers have already returned fire. We're going to see how this plays out. This is going to be ugly. You know what I mean? And this is going to be a thing for a very, very long time. And yeah, there's a real chance that this might escalate. America's already committed. Y'all know where America stands. American military might is behind Israel. American military might is behind Ukraine. I don't know what NATO's going to do. I don't know. I don't know what China's going to do. Don't know. It is what it is. I think Russia's going to get tired of Putin. At some point, they're going to make a move on him. I think the Russians are going to make a move on Putin. He knows it. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but there's no way he's going to be able to take Ukraine. Best case scenario for Putin, stalemate, which Ukraine is slowly pushing the Russians out. Again, this is all with military might, equipment, personnel, intel, coming from America to the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are no angels. I tell people that all the time. They're no angels, but Russia attacked them. They invaded them. So they're David and Russia was the Goliath. And you got that fight going on. This Middle East thing is going to continue to escalate. Yeah, guys, just do your best to come up with or keep up with this. I'm going to do what I can. If y'all come up with stuff, send it to me. Don't be afraid to send me links. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know what you're thinking. I'll definitely get into it and see what's going on. Thanks again to Progress in Motion. Thanks for rocking out with me. Hope to see you again. You're more than welcome here anytime, Brother Dino. Thank you so much, bro. Always a pleasure to have you. Keeping me on my toes, bro. I'm telling you, Nancy Pelosi, she's a G. I'm glad she got her money, but I'm telling you, bro, her husband is not that good. I'm telling you, bro. I just don't believe it. He got some help. He is not Warren Buffett, but I could be wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like Brother Dino was saying, Putin looks to have just cut Sweden's undersea cables. Yeah, Putin's gonna mess around, bro. He's gonna mess around and get NATO on him, and it's a wrap. He, you know what I mean? Like I said, he lost it. That chess match is over, right? That chess match. He might be able to move his king, maybe castle, and just kind of prolong the inevitable, but it's over, man. It's over. I don't know what Putin's gonna do, but I got to get going. It's noon. It's a little bit after noon. I hope you guys are having a good day. Tomorrow's the weekend. Remember that. If you guys are here in America like me, hey, be careful. This call for this financial jihad, man. Who knows? Look out for those lone wolves. Remember, if you see something, say something. If y'all see something strange, something that don't look right, you see somebody loading a bunch of ammo and a bunch of weapons into their car or whatever, you might want to say something to law enforcement. Right? Especially if that person doing it is someone was kind of off, a little weird, little whatever. You might want to say something, bro. It is what it is. Keep your eyes open, people. My heart goes out to all those people who have been lost and those who will be lost in this conflict in the Middle East on both sides. You know what I mean? I wish that none of this was happening, but it is. It is where we are. You know what I mean? And like I said, people ask me where I stand. I stand with Israel. I stand against those people who would cut the heads off of babies, who would kill innocent women and children. I stand against that. Hamas needs to go. That's my take on that. So thanks for rocking out with me, guys. I really appreciate it. Y'all know what time it is. I'm Don Lewis. This is I'm DL Saint Don Lewis. Y'all will know that if you go to my Instagram and you can see that I do stand-up comedy and all that. That's my Instagram scrolling below. Don't be afraid to hit me up. especially if you got information, please send it to me. Brother Dino, I need to get a hold of you, bro. I need information from you. You got a lot of information. I want to read what you're reading. Or are you on Instagram, bro? How can I get a hold of you, brother? Like, send me some way to get a hold of you, man. I want to be able to read what you read, and I want you to tell me, like, push me in the right direction, man. At least I be getting some whack media streams. I do. I get some crazy ones. Feed me what you're getting, bro, so I can get all of it. I want all of it. I want the far left, I want the far right, and I want everything in between. That's the only way we're going to be able to formulate stuff and put it through the old think tank, man. So hit me up on Instagram if you're there, bro. On my YouTube channel, my email address is on there, man. DL_Saint at Yahoo. DL_Saint, SAINT at Yahoo. Brother Dino, man, hit me up, bro. I want to holler at you. Thank y'all so much for coming out. Sister Candace, appreciate you. My young knight was in the building today, man. I appreciate you, bro. Brother Jack Black, and anyone else I forgot. You know what I mean? I'll be back soon. You know, we're definitely going to be talking about this. And I'll probably talk about some I really want to know stuff, maybe some red pill stuff today at some point, right? So I'll let y'all know what's up with that, man. I'm going to talk to you later. Thanks for rocking out with me. I'm DL Saint. This is the Downrange Podcast. Peace.